Hello everyone and welcome to Delta Revolution Racing for the Monday F1 tier. I am Kem and I would like to thank you for tuning into this broadcast as this race will be taking place around Singapore, and it's actually going to be a short qualifying session and then a 25% race for the session today. If you can, please subscribe to this channel as it will help us out quite a bit, and also make sure that you like this stream. And also, if you did not see the race that took place last week around Monza, make sure that you go and check out that video as well. So as we are just loading into the lobby, just get the settings in order. So just to take a look at the drivers for today, or I'll just go through the reserves actually. So Bian Albrecht is reserving for the Aston Martin team, and then there's also Aston Masters, who is reserving for the Red Bull team. Every other driver is a full-time driver for their team. So just waiting to see, yep, looks like 4 cars filing out all at the same time. So we'll see who is at the front. It looks like it is Pavanis. Yes, it is Pavanis. So F4H Pavanis GT is the first out on track in this qualifying session. He should be the first one to cross the start-finish line to start the first flying lap of this qualifying session. Just to take a look and see what the order is. So it is Pavanis that is leading this group of cars out. Behind him is, it is a Ferrari, but it is not Lewis. It is SLR Ham, who is currently in second place in the driver's standings. It's interesting because he has actually not participated in many races. I believe he's only participated in 2 or 3 races, and he is still in second place for the driver's standings with 62 points. So had quite a masterclass around Britain, and then also took a victory at Belgium. So currently riding on board with Pavanis of the Alfa Romeo team. Let us see how he fares on this first qualifying lap he is about to set. Currently riding on board with Pavanis of the Alfa Romeo team is DRS wide open for Pavanis. Has to spot that braking point at just inside the 100-meter dashboard. At the 50 here, going through this miniature S section. It'll be just at the start of the curb on the right side, going through there, touch the curb on the right, try and get to the left side as much as possible, touch the right and left curbs, get out to that right wall as close as you dare. Doing a pretty good job on this lap. It is a 139.579 for Pavonis, and then that is trumped by SLR Ham with a 137.247. Next across the line was Acid Masters, but he was on an outlap as Zayak is currently in now fourth, as SLR Jam, SLR Ham's brother, is now in second, setting a 137.534. Next across the line was Lewis. He has slotted himself into third. Apex has a lot of fuel on board, so quite interesting. James comes across the line, sets a 139.364, slots himself in seventh. Next across the line is Chug's Life, jumps to 10th with a 141.997, and then behind him was Koix, who set a 138.231. So now riding on board with Stinos, this is going to be his first hot lap that he is going to set in this qualifying session. So got very close to that wall. You could actually hear a slight touch of that wall. So Stinos is right to the limit. As what time is it? It's a 137.738 for Stinos. Slots himself into third place. Pavonis is into the pits, as Zayak is into the pits as well. So is Ham, as BN is into the pits as well. Anthony is into the pits as well. So I'm wondering, is there, as Acid Masters is having a little bit of a spin, but Apex may actually be on the lap. Yep, he is not pitting, so let us see what the time is going to be for the Mercedes driver. It's a 140.627, slots himself in 11th. However, he does have a lot of fuel on board at the moment, so that time will most likely be going down in his later runs. Does seem like Chug's Life is on another lap and on the same set of tires that he has set that 141.997 on, so and he has actually pretty much run out of ERS as well, so but still going faster. So I'm not exactly sure if that is a visual glitch, but it does say that he is low on the ERS, but he is still going quite faster, but has had a moment, and that is that hot lap over for Shugs. So now riding on board with James, reserving for the Haas team. And is 5/10 faster than the fastest lap he has set so far. So as it is right now, that would leave him in 9th place still. However, depending on how much time he is able to make up in this third sector, we will see. Ooh! However, losing the car is James, and that is going to be that hot lap over with. So we'll see if anyone else is on a hot lap. So Pavonis is currently on a lap. It does seem like Apex is also on a lap. It seems like he is doing some almost cactus hot laps with the amount of fuel on board his car, but we'll ride on board with him, see if he is able to improve. Actually, we'll take a look and see. Yep, so that is an outlap for CM. Outlap for Anthony. Outlap for Quakes. And outlap for Lewis. So yeah, it's going to be as Apex has actually invalidated. So that is that lap over Aston Masters is on an outlap. So we'll ride on board with Pavonis. He will be the next one across the line, setting a time. We'll see if it will be an improvement for the Alfa Romeo driver. So running wide was Pavonis, but it looks like that time did actually stay. As SLR Ham with a 136.850 to improve upon that time that had him in first place. So looks like it's going to be another potential masterclass for the Ferrari driver of SLR Ham, not riding on board with Anthony. As it did say, he set a purple sector too, so this is going to be a pretty good time for him. Jumps to second with a 137.498. That was a good lap by Anthony. Next across the line is Coix, goes into second with a 137.373. As Pavonis, I just caught him crashing out, unfortunately. So that was qualifying over for the Alfa Romeo driver. Next across the line is Aston Masters, I do believe. No, that was probably an outlap, so we'll see if there's anyone else currently on the lap. Jam has invalidated, although I think he may be on an in-lap. So it does say Stinos has set a purple sector too, but is a 10th and 3/4 slower than his fastest time. So let's see if he is able to make up any time into this, or throughout this sector 3. He's very close to the wall on that left side. Of all the drivers that I have seen so far riding on board, Stinos is very close and actually does make contact with the wall there, but let us see what time it is. It is an improvement. So it's a 137.536 for Stinos, but I believe he was in 5th and is still in 5th place. Now riding on board with Deanne Albrecht. I'll just call him Ian for the rest of this session. As slight improvement, but stays in 7th for the Aston Martin Reserve. So next across the line is going to be James, and he unfortunately spins out. Aston Masters is into the pits. Apex is into the pits as well. Next across is Shug's Life. Does the exact same thing that James did. So now riding on board with SLR Jam, I do believe this is a flying lap, so we'll stay on board with the Haas driver and see how he is able to fare through the final couple of turns as he does the exact same thing that both James and Shug's Life did not too long ago. So it does look like James is on a cooldown lap. If that is Zayak, I do believe he is on a flying lap. So we'll ride on board with the Mercedes driver, see how he is able to bear as some either lag or desync. That looked like he was about to go into the wall. But just a slight visual glitch as, wow, almost 6.5 tenths faster than his fastest time is Zayak, so he is currently flying at the moment. It did also say a purple sector 2 as there is a Haas that was parked in the middle of the road. Luckily, this Zayak was able to get around it to not have impeded him too much. So let us see what the Mercedes driver of Zayak is able to do. This could be a pretty good time. Jumps to third with a 1:37.420. Well done by Zayak. So we have 2 minutes left in this qualifying session as Ham has gotten a bit squirrely going through that turn, and that will be that hot lap over. I don't need to know if he'll be able to make it. He should be able to make it around in time, but will he try and go for another lap? Is the question. Just looking to see if there is anyone on a hot lap at the moment. It does look like it's all out laps at the moment. Yep, so we'll ride on board with Apex as this will be his last opportunity to be able to get himself out of that 12th place position as Jim has retired. He will not be able to start any more laps. Zayak has retired in the pits as well. It will be no higher than third for the Mercedes driver. James has retired as well as Apex is just over 3 tenths faster throughout that sector 1. So already quite an improvement by the Mercedes driver. We have 28 seconds left in this qualifying session. Riding on board with Apex Finley. This DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver. Let us see how much faster he is going. Nearly 9 tenths faster than his fastest time. That would put him currently in 10th at the moment. So has to find quite a bit of time throughout this sector 3. Let us see what the Mercedes driver is able to do. Coming to the start finish line, it's a 1:38.134. Only puts him in 9th place. So we're gonna have to make up some positions throughout the race as Shug's Life has been disqualified. Lewis across the line jumps to 5th with a 1:37.509. Shug's Life has been disqualified from this session. Now riding on board with Quakes Gamer, currently in 2nd place. Let us see if he has what it takes to be able. Ooh, Had a bit of a moment going through that turn. Let us see what Coix is able to do. Yup, into the 136s. Only 31,000 off of SLR Ham. So, pretty good by the Williams driver. Next across the line is Anthony, 137.317 for him. And last across the line is Stinos. And second. So a bunch of time made up by Stinos in that last run. Well done by him. Only 6 thousandths slower than the pole position man SLR Ham. So I'll go through the starting positions for this race. It is SLR Ham starting in first, Stinos in second, Coix in third, Anthony starting in fourth, Zayek starting in fifth, Lewis in sixth, SLR Jam in seventh, Bian in eighth, Apex in ninth, Acid Masters starting in 10th, James in 11th, Pavonis in 12th, and 13th is Shugs Light. So just a reminder that this will be a 25% race and not the usual 50% race that takes place. There's just not enough drivers to warrant doing a 50% race for today's session. So a reminder that the formation lap is turned off. So as these drivers get their final few adjustments done to their car and their strategies, it will be onto the track and awaiting the 5 red lights for the start of this race. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we are away for this 15-lap race around Singapore. As let us see, as major carnage at the beginning of the race. And that looks like, is it a VSC? No, it's a full safety car as Zayek and Anthony are out. As I believe Lewis may have been caught up in that as well. So Stinos getting a very good start to this race, getting himself ahead of SLR Jam. Many positions have been made up, and it's only Lewis who has dropped from 6th to 11th. So now it's going to be interesting. Actually, I will go and see who is on what tire. As it looks like it's rain, it is. It is raining. So it looks like there's going to be an early potential call. Yep. Ham is into the pit. So is Coix and is Jam. As Bian has decided to stay out. Apex is in Pavonis is in, James is in, was on the hard, so definitely makes sense for him to go in. Shugs and Lewis also in, so it's going to be inters for all of those drivers. Hopefully none of them make a mistake by not switching their tires, which it looks like all of them, yep, have decided to go onto the inters. So we are currently under safety car conditions. It is lap 2 of 15. So the 3 front runners in this race have decided not to pit, although it has started to rain here in Singapore. So it's going to be interesting to see if Stino, Cien, and Aston Masters will be deciding to pit on this lap. What I do know is it does seem like driving on the inters in this game, even though the track may be slightly drier than is, there's some beefing that is going on as I'm on board with Stino. So yeah, it does seem like in this game, driving on a slightly dry track with inters is not as bad as it was in the previous game. These 3 front runners have decided that they're not going to pit, so it's quite an interesting call by these 3 drivers. They are on the soft tires, so that is a advantage that they'll be having. Shugs is actually into the pits again. It's going to be a fresh set of inters for Shugs, so that does make sense for the McLaren driver. Just waiting for the indication that the safety car will be coming in, and there it is. So race control has determined that the safety car will be coming in this lap. Now it is up to Stinos to keep the pace for all of these cars, and he will be the one to determine when this race gets that going. It does have to slow down quite a bit as he is still relatively close to the safety car. Yep, still quite close as he is into the pits. So Aston Masters is the leader currently, as looks like Stinos has actually crashed going into the pits. Ham has put himself into first place as both Dian and Stinos are into the pits. As it looks like SLR Jam and Hoyt getting themselves past Acid Masters, past Acid Masters. So has Pavonis as well. Apex making a dive down the inside of Acid Masters, so is James. Acid Masters is struggling at the moment. Lewis side by side with the Red Bull Reserve of Acid Masters. He is struggling quite a bit, will need to change those tires. So we're currently on lap 4 of 15 now. Oh, as Apex has gone into the wall, and he is going to need to pit for a new front wing as, right end plate is gone from that Mercedes car. And you can see the slight understeer going into that right-hand turn. So these cars are crawling through these rainy conditions. We have yellow flags as looks like Shug's life is into the wall. So SLR Ham has set the fastest lap of the race with a 152.346. Currently riding on board with James. Apex has decided to stay out. So maybe hoping for another safety car is Apex. Acid Masters is into the pits. He will be putting on inters onto his car. So Apex is staying out, hoping for another safety car. Now riding on board with Pavonis. He's staying quite closely with Coix is in third, Pavonis is in fourth. James has to be very careful as he is behind Apex, who does have damage. As he's making a lunge down the inside, and Apex does give him space, but not able to complete that move is James. So going around this Singapore circuit, it is a matter of who makes a mistake versus who does not. And making a mistake can be quite costly in this very narrow street circuit. SLR Ham has just crossed the start finish to start lap 6. He has a 3.5 second lead on his brother, SLR Jam. Still riding on board with James. It's going to be interesting to see when he'll be able to make a move on Apex. Being quite patient at the moment. If he can get a good exit out of this turn, which it looks like he has, and he is also deploying the battery. We'll actually go up. Nope, Pavonis not going to make his way past Coix. And Apex going very defensive, but cannot make that turn well with the damage he has sustained. Will James be able to do a switchback going into this turn? Apex is parking his car perfectly through these turns, but he has gone wide. That is James up into 5th. Well done by the reserve driver. As Shug's life has gotten himself a penalty as he is into the pits. So not riding on board with Lewis. It's going to be interesting to see when and if, as we have yellow flags. Looks like DN has made a slight error. Going up to the front of the field, SLR Ham with a healthy lead out in first. His brother SLR Jam behind him in second. Koiks Gamer just behind Jam in third, as Shug's Life may have crashed out. And is it a safety car? It is a safety car. Yep, so Shug's Life has crashed out. This is a lifeline for Apex. As Cian has gotten himself a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. That is probably something that can be removed unless he does decide to pit. So we are currently on lap 7 of 15. Second safety car of this race. So now it's going to be a question of, well, all 10 of these drivers will actually be scoring points as long as they get to the mandatory mark in the race to be classified. So as long as all of these drivers can keep it steady, they will be scoring points in this race. Now the question is, as Ham is backing up quite a bit, so it's not going to be a pit stop for Ham. It's not going to be a pit stop for Jan or Koiks. Neither is it going to be a pit stop for Pavanis. Now, will James? No. Apex does need to pit as he has damage on that Mercedes car. It's going to be fresh tires for Apex Finley. BN has slowed down quite a bit. Yep, so it's going to be fresh tires for Apex Finley. That is going to help him quite a bit throughout the rest of this race. BN has decided not to pit. As Acid Masters has decided to head into the pits for a fresh set of inters. So Stinos will make his way past Acid Masters to go up into 9th. Oh, I believe Koiks just made contact with the wall. And I did see a switch of positions as well. Not exactly sure what happened there. but is Coix? Yep, Coix is into the pits. An unfortunate mistake for Coix. For Jam and Coix into the pits. This is going to be interesting to see. So, oh, Jam has decided to go onto the full wets, and so has Coix. So, and a new front wing for the Williams driver. So it's going to be interesting. Will the top 5 runners, as CN is into the pits for a new set of inters? So it's not a question of, is Ham going to stay out for the rest of this race on those inters, as well as Pavonis, James, Lewis, and Apex. Well, Apex is on relatively fresh inters, so a bit of a different story for him. But for the front 4 runners, their tires will have seen quite a bit of degradation. It's going to be interesting to see what they are going to do for the remainder of this race and how being on such old tires is going to affect their race, as Lewis has made a mistake. And has he sustained damage as well? No, it does look like his front wing is intact, but there may be minor damage to that Ferrari car. The safety car is in this lap. Acid Masters has quite a ways to go to catch up to the field. It does look like Coix and Sinos will be able to catch up in time. So Coix and Sinos have caught up to the rest of the group. CN is still quite a distance back from the top 8 drivers, as Pavonis has got himself a 3-second penalty, and Ham has dropped it. So this is the case of what I was saying about these old Inter tires. Unless it was just too much throttle, as Jam has gotten himself a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Not sure where that may have happened. BN has retired in the pits. So riding on board with Jam. This is looking quite good for Pavonis at the moment. We'll just have to keep a calm and cool head, as it is just 5.5 laps remaining for the Alfa Romeo driver, but he may be able to get a win, and his first win of the season and in this league. And with these 2 Haas drivers battling the way they are, Pavonis, as SLR Jam with a very big lunge, they have made slight contact with James. Luckily, both drivers able to keep their cars pointed in the correct direction. So it is quite the crawl throughout this circuit under these wet conditions. We'll take a look and see. It looks like Acid Masters was making his way right up to Lewis, and has gone too deep, and unfortunately tagged Lewis. It looked like there was a spin, but I think it was just experience a bit of decent that is happening at the moment. As we have yellow flags in sector 3, not exactly sure who that is, but Lewis and Acid Masters are into the pits. Riding on board with Apex, goes late, luckily able to slow his car down enough to not go into Coix ahead of him. So riding on board with Pavonis has a 3 and 7/10 second lead ahead of James behind him. What a drive by the Alfa Romeo driver, and he does have a 3-second penalty. I'm not exactly sure how he got that and if it was warranted. If it was not, he is able to submit a report with his race director to show that it was not a warranted penalty, but we'll see. If he is able to keep that 3-second gap, it is going to be an outright win for the Alfa Romeo driver. So we're currently on lap 12 of 15. Those look like Coix went slightly wide, but should still be able to keep that place from Apex. It looks like there is a battle, and looks like Lewis has made his way past the Acid Masters to go up into 8th. Currently riding on board with Spino. Looks like, yep, SLR Ham has caught back up to the field. So it will be interesting to see if there are any moves that Ham will be able to pull off in these final 3.5 laps. Looks like Acid Masters has made his way back up to the back of Lewis. Both have quite a bit of battery, almost full battery for both Acid Masters and Lewis. Now riding on board with Apex Finley. Still right behind Coix. Coix in 4th, Apex currently in 5th. And without any DRS, it is very hard to make overtakes, especially in these conditions. But it's like, as Coix has run slightly wide again, that is giving Apex the invitation, as looks like SLR Ham and Spinos are side by side as well, making slight contact is both drivers, and now it's an absolute battle for this 4th place position. Like much better traction for Spinos, as he does have 5 lap fresher tires than Ham. Looks like Coix has given way slightly to Spinos. Spinos making his way up into 5th. Well done by the Alpine driver. Coix has gone slightly wide. Is in 6th. But has gone deep into that turn. Ham. But nope, Coix. Well, it's a switchback by Ham. He is trying everything, and they have made contact. Coix and Ham. That is quite unfortunate, and they're both going to have to box at this point. Yep, so it's no front wing for Ham and no front wing for Toix as well. Going up to the front runner, Pavanis, still in first. Doing quite a good job, an impressive drive by the Alfa Romeo driver. Now, looking at these conditions, I'm wondering if the wet tires aren't entirely suitable for... There's some... Yeah, it is still raining, so the wet tire should be working relatively well still at this point, but we have 2 laps remaining in this race. Now riding on board with Apex Finley, looking for the move on Jam to go up into third, and Stinos is getting involved as well. We have 3 wide as Stinos has gone into the wall. Unfortunate for the Alpine driver, as Stinos has left the session as well. I'm not exactly sure if there is any damage on Jam's car. Riding on board with Pavanis, still doing quite a good job maintaining that first place position. So as he crosses the start-finish line, it is going to be final lap of this race around Singapore. And he also sets the fastest lap with a 1:52 taken by James, setting a 1:51.964. Will be interesting to see. Probably shouldn't push too much, should Pavanis. He should just try and maintain that gap and secure that first place and 25 points. So I'm currently riding on board with Acid Masters. He is following behind Lewis. So Stinos is into the pits. And there will be a new front wing for the Alpine driver. So Acid Masters doesn't seem to be able to... Oh, that's the fastest lap of the race, actually, with a 1:51.921. So, does Acid Masters have any more as Stinos' AI car comes out just in between Lewis and Acid Masters? We will see. Yep, and these AI cars, you have to be quite careful with them. So riding on board with Pavanis, let us see what he is able to do to... it's a battle between Acid Masters and Stinos. Gets another time penalty, does. Pavanis finishes in first, but it's going to be James taking first place in this race. Apex hitting the wall. Luckily, it is the final lap. He will be finishing in third. And sets the fastest lap as well with a 1:56.78. Next across the line will be Jam, finishing in fourth. The Drivers' Championship leader, Ham, will be finishing in fifth place. Yep, as those inter tires are just about dead for Ham. Next across the line is going to be Ham's teammate Lewis, finishing in 6th place. Behind him is Acid Master Stinos, his AI car in 8th, and Coit in 9th. But it is James with the victory as a reserve for the Haas team here around Singapore. Also getting the driver of the day determined by the game. Well done by James. So I'll go through the final finishing order of this race. It is James finishing in 1st, Pavonis finishing in 2nd, Apex finishing in 3rd, Jam finishing in 4th, Ham finishing in 5th, Lewis in 6th, Acid Masters in 7th, Stinos finishing in 8th, Coix finishing in 9th with the fastest lap of the race. And this is the start of the DNFs. So 10th is BN, Shugs in 11th, Zach in 12th, and Anthony in 13th place. Well, I would like to thank everyone for tuning into this broadcast of Delta Revolution Racing. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and also like this video for next week's race. It will be taking place around Brazil, and it'll also be the sprint format as well. So looking forward to that taking place next week. For myself, Kem, I would like to thank you for tuning into this broadcast, and I would like to say, wherever you are in the world, take care.